The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 61, A Single Gold. Why the hell did this piss me off so much? Lorik thinks as he walks down the streets of the black market. The bear woman is still unconscious and draped over his shoulder. Lorik carries her down the street, drawing everyone's stares. He walks down to a large stone compound. The street leading to this compound is 50 feet long. It's empty and in the open, allowing the compound to see him coming with ease. It has a large outer stone wall with a wooden gate around the compound. On the other side of the wall is a massive stone mansion. There are other stone buildings, but none as large or fancy as the mansion in the center. It has thick windows reinforced with iron and lots of guards. The guards all wear the stone bear masks. Lorik walks right up to the gate and stops. "Master, let me fight too," Nixfang asks, speaking into his mind. "No, it's too dangerous for you to come out now. Besides, it'll complicate things." Lorik replies, speaking with his thoughts. But I want to get revenge for Vera too," Nixfang protests. "You've gotten rather attached to her, haven't you?" Lorik asks before taking a deep breath. "There's no going back from this. I'm sure Torvin and Soren will take care of the aftermath. But the reproductions will follow me to the academy. Even knowing that, why do I still feel so strongly that this is the only course of action?" Lorik thinks before sighing. His soul weapons appear around his arms and hands. He casts heavy beast paws on both arms before pulling his right fist back. As the stone bears are one of the 3 strongest powers down here, their guards have gotten complacent. So even though some on the wall saw Lorik approaching, none cared to give him a second look. They blindly assumed he was there on business, not to attack them. It's not until he smashes the gates open that they all jump to attention. "Summon Wolf Pack," Lorik says as soon as the gates open. A magic circle appears on the ground behind him. 4 giant phantom wolves leap out of it. The circle fades away as they step forward. Each wolf is 5 feet tall and has sharp red eyes. Their fur is a dark gray color and their bodies are slightly transparent. They lead the way as Lorik enters the compound. "Ulrich, get your ass out here, you bastard!" Lorik shouts before one of the wolves howls. The others bare their fangs and snarl at the gathering bears. They all hold swords or spears, and a few wear gauntlets. None of them approach Lorik, though. None of the bears are mages, but they all recognize that Lorik's wolves come from a spell. So none of them dare to try and attack a mage without being attacked first. For a few minutes, nothing happens. More bears show up, but none of them dare attack. Eventually, a man with short stone gray hair comes running. His hair is wet, and his clothes are disheveled. He had been in the bath and quickly dried off before running out. "Fox, the hell are you doing?" The man shouts while running up to him. He stops when one of the wolves snarls and walks in between him and Lorik. "Your bitch here stabbed my companion," Lorik says while dropping the woman on the ground. Seeing her, the man's face turns red with rage and his fist clenches. "What did you do to my Ragna?" He shouts while taking a step forward. His step is met with more snarls from the wolves. "Don't worry, she's alive. I only punched her ugly face. Not my fault the bitch can't take a single hit. Now, Ulrich, what are you going to do about her stabbing my companion?" Lorik replies calmly. "What happened?" Ulrich asks through clenched teeth. "I was on my to visit Torvin when she and 2 of what you call elite bears stopped me," Lorik says, making air quotes with his hands when he says elite. "She demanded we talk about what I did to your other member when he drunken grabbed my companion. After I refused, she grabbed my companion and threatened her with a knife to the throat. I told her she'd be in deep shit if she actually did it. So she let her go, but then she stabbed her in the back right away. So I punched her, and the bitch fell like a sack of rocks." Lorik says, smiling under his mask. "What about her guards?" Ulrich asks. "Oh yeah," Lorik replies with a snap of his fingers. "I had trapped them in a spell, this one to be exact," Lorik says while casting heavy wolf bite next to him. The large phantom wolf head jumps out of the magic circle and bites the air. "It might have broken their ribs, but I'm sure they'll recover. Had your bitch not stabbed my companion, they wouldn't have been injured. The reason they didn't report to you is because I just released the spell when I snapped." Lorik adds before the phantom wolf's head disappears. "Fine, we'll discuss this later. Once I've made sure my daughter is okay," Ulrich says, causing Lorik to laugh. "No, we'll discuss this now. Lorik says while placing a boot on Ragna's hip. She fell and landed on her side, so her hip is facing up. Get off her! Ulrich shouts while stepping forward. The phantom wolf in front of him snarls loudly while getting ready to pounce. You think this wolf scares me? I'm a 4th-tier mage. Your 4th-tier lesser mage spells are too weak to harm me. Besides, you're all alone. Ulrich says while spreading his arms out. Stop talking and come to a decision. What are you going to do about your daughter stabbing my companion? Lorik asks in a cold and threatening tone. That's it, Ulrich says before reaching out. The stone below his palm jumps up and forms a pole on the ground. Ulrich grabs it and pulls it out of the ground. The stone pole changes shape and turns into a sword. Bears, kill fox, he shouts while pointing at Lorik with his sword. Increase gravity, Lorik says calmly as the group of bears rushes him. A massive magic circle appears and covers the entire compound. Even outside onto the street is engulfed in this circle. The air inside the circle takes a dark purple tint. All of the bears fall to their knees or onto their stomachs from the sudden increase in weight. It feels as though they all got 3 times heavier than before. Only Lorik and his phantom wolves are unaffected. Ulrich looks around in shock, surprised at how easy it was for Lorik to render his guards unfit for combat. By the time he focuses on Lorik again, he's holding Ragna. He has to manipulate her gravity to be able to pick her up. But he holds her and waits until Ulrich's full attention is on him. He then tosses her back into the stone wall as hard as he can. Ulrich's eyes bulge as he clenches his teeth and balls his fists up in anger. Fox! Ulrich shouts before charging him. Since he's a mage, the spell has less of an effect. The law in his Solvians fights against the gravity law affecting him. He's still affected by it, but not as much as the others. A small blue sword embeds itself into Lorik's skull before his aura changes. He becomes a 2nd-tier lesser mage, and his wolves become stronger. One of the wolves tackles Ulrich, and he cuts it in 2 with a single swing of his sword. Another jumps on his left arm, digging its fangs into his flesh. Ulrich doesn't notice it until it's biting him. He stabs it in the head as another wolf jumps on his back. As it does, a phantom wolf head appears behind Lorik. It howls, shaking and increasing the weight of the souls of all who hear it. Ulrich falls to his knees before being pushed down by the wolf on his back. Stone spears shoot out of the ground and impale the wolf. Ulrich gets his hands below him when Lorik slams his fists down on the back of his head. He had balled his fists together first, and Ulrich's head slammed back into the ground. Lorik goes to kick his head when the last wolf slams itself into Lorik's side. It knocks Lorik out of the way of more spikes shooting out of the ground. Ulrich gets up as the spikes sink back into the floor. I can't believe I ever thought of working under trash like you, Lorik says as Ulrich roars and charges him again. Lorik manipulates his gravity and rushes Ulrich. He jumps up and over Ulrich before they collide. Ulrich swings his sword and cuts the air before stopping. He turns and thrusts his blade where he thinks Lorik is. He stops in shock when he sees nothing but empty space. Lorik isn't anywhere he can see. With the gravity spell in effect around him, he can't sense Lorik as easily. It disrupts the space slightly. If he were better at it, then he could, but Ulrich was never good at sensing others' auras and presences. He looks around wildly for Lorik, unable to find him. Up! One of the nearby bears on the ground shouts weakly, struggling under the gravity spell. Ulrich looks up just to see Lorik's boot inches from his face. Lorik had manipulated his gravity to float higher and higher. He then made himself incredibly heavy before falling onto Ulrich. Ulrich goes flying back as Lorik swiftly manipulates his gravity to make himself lighter. He crashes into the stone ground hard, still needing more practice. He gets hurt, but nothing breaks, so he calls it a win. Ulrich lands on his back and drops his sword. Lorik quickly runs over and jumps on his chest. The sword in his head disappears, as does the increased gravity spell. Summon Wolfpack, Lorik says while taking a water skin out of his storage ring. 2 wolves appear from the magic circle behind him. They each take one of Ulrich's arms in their mouths. Get off the boss! One of the bears shouts while running toward Lorik. Lorik traps him in another phantom wolf head, stopping him in his tracks. The fangs dig into his flesh, causing him to scream. The wolf head lets him go and disappears quickly after he screams. Any of you try something like that, and you'll all get heavy again. I'll help myself to your vault while you're down on the ground, too. Lorik shouts, causing them all to step back. He then pours out some water onto Ulrich's head, waking him up. He goes to punch Lorik and get him off, but the wolves bite down on his arms. They draw some blood as their fangs sink into his arms. Shh, Lorik whispers while placing a finger over his lips. I'll only ask again, what are you going to do about what your daughter did? Lorik asks coldly. Ulrich just stares at him, his eyes a mix of rage, anger, and a trace of fear. What do you want? Ulrich asks after a few moments. Good boy, Lorik says teasingly while patting his forehead. For starters, I want gold, considering my companion wasn't stabbed anywhere vital and what I did to your daughter and men. Lorik says before trailing off. He starts tapping his chin with his finger in an exaggerated display of thinking. Let's go with a single gold coin. Sound fair? Lorik asks, stunning Ulrich below him. A single coin? Why the hell did you come here and do all this for that? Ulrich asks, his anger starting to take over. For the principle of the matter, Lorik says before reaching out and grabbing his head with his clawed hand. Your daughter stabbed my companion. I had to make sure people knew exactly what happens if you mess with me or my people. Do I make myself clear? You, stone, bear, bastard. Lorik replies, gently hitting his head against the ground with each of his final words. Yes. Ulrich mutters as 3 people run into the compound through the broken gate.